thankfully we've had some great chats in the comments about what people are starting as their like dram beforehand. But before I hand it over to you, Ian, I'm just gonna quickly do the like official absolutely have to welcome everyone. Obviously, we're all very excited to hear from Ian tonight, and I won't delay us tucking in. So full housekeeping video is always shared in the Zoom link email for you guys. Don't drink and drive is like the biggest one. Please don't drink and drive. It's always up on our YouTube channel, including recordings, full our virtuals. And I'm going to quickly go through the tasting order for the people who couldn't join us tonight who are watching back. Whiskey number 1 is a Campbeltown Connection 10-year-old. Number 2 is the Taro Empress 17-year-old blend. Number 3 is the Benriach 10-year-old Oloroso cask. 4 is the Inchfad 18-year-old Oloroso cask. Number 5 is the Caol 18-year-old Pinot Noir cask. And number 6, which I'm most excited about, is the Campbeltown Chocolate Soop Whisky Liqueur. So we are bookending the tasting tonight with 2 Campbeltowns, one sweet, maybe one not quite as sweet. So Ollie gave like a little bit of a brief overview, but I know Ian is a phenomenal storyteller. So as we crack into whiskey number 1, the Campbeltown Connection, if you wanted to kind of talk a little bit about North Star and maybe as well talk about this new kind of Campbeltown offshoot that you're doing as well.
Great. Yeah, let me just try and work this out. I can't see myself, which is not a bad thing, but it's kind of a weird feeling. If I'm doing something, can I just work out how to video?
No.
I can't see myself. It doesn't really matter. I suppose I just like to see people that are smiling or like oh
There
God,
should
can you
be.
see me? Can you see my face?
Yes, we can. There should be a
Oh,
gallery view in the
yeah.
top right corner where it shows view.
Oh yeah, view gallery. Okay, right. That'll do. That'll do. Whatever that is. I can't really see myself, but um, I'm still in my pajama bottoms, so it feels really weird. Uh, okay, right. I beg your pardon. I'm just still kind of. Okay, well, I'll get started. Look, thank you all very much for coming out. Thank you for coming to listen to me and my chat about my journey. I'd also like to thank you, Emma, for getting this together for us, and Ollie and Chris for considering that they could be the good partners out in your wonderful island to spread God's word with the North Star. I hope you're enjoying this journey as much as I am. So yeah, so thank you very much. I suppose what I like to do in my tastings is I often found when I was like getting into whiskey or in whiskey or just learning a bit more about whiskey was when I attended tastings. I often it would often be like a Wednesday night. It would often be pouring down with rain, and it would often have been kind of maybe cost prohibitive for me to be buying this ticket. So I always most enjoyed it when I went out to these places and I learned something that I wouldn't there have otherwise should I have not gone out. It can be frustrating going to tastings where you're learning or you're being told something that you could have perhaps Googled in the comfort of your own home, or perhaps even worse than that, you could have just read off the back of the bottle. So what I like to do in my tastings, and I find it easier as well, is to explain my journey. And there's what have we got here? 6 whiskies, and I'd like to enjoy those whiskies with you at the same time as explaining the whiskies, but telling you one story per whiskey about how I got from it's not just me, but how North Star got from being an idea in my mind to being with you wonderful folks out there with your big orange thing in the sky. Very jealous. So How many are we tonight? And are we recorded? Because that often kind of we are recorded, and it's going to be blasted about the place forever. Right. Okay.
Yes.
All right. I don't particularly mind that, but during the COVID thing that we all had to endure, that's when the Zoom tastings or the Teams tastings kind of really came into my life, and I realized that when I was doing tastings and they were recorded, I was like, oh my God, right. Okay. But that's a kind of point of view I had or I have now. But that point of view is probably going to be dated or seem perhaps naive. And so it did kind of maybe temper, like just keep my tastings to a little bit more, not really saying how it is at this moment in time, maybe more of a broader kind of example. So yeah, I don't want to go too deep into something where I'm like in a year's time I'm like, well, that was wrong, or that was, you shouldn't have said that about that guy. He's actually quite nice, or uh so anyways, I'll try and keep it as transparent and honest as possible. And right, let's get started. So before I do, I just want to thank you all very, very much for coming out or sitting in your front room to listen to me. I'm sure you've got a lot of other things you'd like to do, so I'll try and make this as enjoyable as possible. So let's just get cracking with the first whiskey.
Campbeltown
Before I
connection. I think
introduce,
a lot of people are
yeah.
nearly to the end of their glass.
Oh, really?
I know I am.
It's because I'm late. It's because I'm
No,
late.
it's
I'm
all
so
good.
sorry. Let me get a glass.
No, it's just
Um,
really good. Yeah, it's really delicious.
yeah. Campbeltown connection. So the birth of this idea came from, I suppose, maybe the downturn in downturn, but just more of a kind of challenging time in whiskey at the moment. A lot of people are doing independent bottling. A lot of distilleries are overproducing. A lot of importers are needing to achieve numbers, and there's the desire is in with the enthusiasts like yourselves. It's I think we're blessed, but the desire across the board for dark spirits, it's becoming challenging, more challenging, and I'm not going to say that as a negative. I really think it's a positive, because it kind of makes one like think potentially out of the box, and potentially, how can I be creative? As an independent bottler, technically, unless you're Gordon MacPhail, of course, we've all got the kind of same stuff. We've all got access to the same casks and liquids, and at whatever price. So that being said, I wanted to create something that had never been done before. So people like myself have access to Campbeltown blended malt, right? It's not, it's, I buy it from Loch Lomond, and they own Glen Scotia. So I am 95% sure the blended malt of which I buy from Glen Scotia is Glen Scotia. So, but it comes as a blended malt. So the chap there, Bill and Andy, I said, like, Mark, is there any chance we could call this a single? And then if they had said yes, I would have said, any chance I can mention the distillery? Of course, they just, you've never seen somebody look over the top of their glasses at me, like in this condescending way to say, absolutely not, Iain. So what I did was I bought quite a lot of the Campbeltown blended malt, and I vatted it all together. And I'm really lucky that I have, maybe when I had a bit, I have some 1994 casks of Springbank, right? Which on its own is completely delicious. And, everybody's a Springbank fan, I think, and especially that from the 90s. At this stage, releasing a single cask of Springbank would be very desirable for me. But is it the right time to be asking my beloved customers to spend 3 figures and above on bottles of whiskey? It's cost prohibitive for most, including myself. And I just don't want my retailers to have dust collectors. Although it's very good, it might get 92 points in Whiskey Fun, and that's brilliant. But unless it's getting opened and enjoyed, you know, what's the point, you know? And for me, that's very personal to me. What's the point? It's got to be opened. It's got to be enjoyed with good people. So that being said, what I've done with Campbeltown Connections is I have all of this Campbeltown blended malt from Glen Scotia, and but I'm not allowed to say that either. So I would probably like to go back and say this Campbeltown blended malt, which I have no idea where it comes from, but I have mixed it with my own 1994 Springbank, you know, to make it work financially. It's the ratio isn't like 90% 94 Springbank and 10% blended malt from Campbeltown, but it is a good little dash, a good few bulk liters for me to be able to legally say that there is Campbeltown in it. And of course, I have found some old Glen Scotia also, which I have added to the mix. To make it work and to get it onto the retail shelf at the desired price, I had to add some water. You know, it's not cask strength, although it's 50.7%. You know, I think it washed out after the vatting. It was like at 59.6, right? And I'm like, oh, that's really delicious. That's great. I've created something. Look at me, I'm a genius. But it was really when you put the duty on it for in whatever country, it's like shit, that's no longer 50 euro bottle or sorry, maybe probably a lot more by the time it gets to you guys. It's you know, it's not that entry level price anymore. So by taking it down to 50.7%, it just managed to get it to where I wanted it. So that's the kind of boring stuff. Also, I don't know if you actually have a physical bottle in front of you, but what I did was I wax sealed it. I thought, well, in a tall round and with a cheaper label, you know, no foil, which you're maybe used to with the North Star bottlings. There's no foil on this, but there's one in a back label. And I thought, oh, maybe to make this a little bit more sexy, let's wax seal it. Do you know what I mean? That's always nice, isn't it? When you see a wax seal bottle, you think, oh, that looks really good. And so, of course, we've got the Bain Marie at work, and we've got all the wax. But for me to wax seal like 2,000 bottles, it cost me like 800 quid in wax, right? Of course, we've got loads left, but I'm like, oh God, okay, well that's a profit gone. But hey, end the breaks. So that is a method to, before we get talking about the content, the label. I've had a bit of fun with this, okay, and I had to really bite my tongue. Also, there's this visual, and it's like an old kind of ticket, old kind of advertisement for travel, right? And it's of course a locomotive, and I thought that's quite a nice, because I have a Campbeltown connection building we just distillery there, and but the amount of people that have said, oh, there you go, have said to me,
Yeah.
or said in comments, do you know how the way you like to kind of go see what people are saying about different things? And one of the things quite a lot of people are saying is, does that young man not know that there was never a steam train going into Campbeltown? You know, and I'm like, I know that, you know, really, really. But I held myself. I was like that. Let's just, you know. So there's a theme going with this kind of brand. There's a Highland connection, of course, that's going to be on your shore soon with a Zeppelin on it, you know, and perhaps an Islay connection with a monorail. You know, hopefully one day there'll be a monorail going around Islay, but God forbid there's ever a fucking Zeppelin over the Highlands. But so a bit of tongue in cheek, a bit of fun, but the liquid inside is massive. So I hear that you've already started because I was late, but it has got that terrific, you know, the saltiness that you get from the Western Seaboard by being down in Campbeltown. I'm sure it penetrates the wood, and that saltiness with that really amazing distillate made by Iain McAllister. I'm sure you all know Iain McAllister. Then gives you the kind of salt, like citrusy, really fresh, clean, citrusy kind of notes. And I suppose if you're a tourist, which of course you're not, I would say, well, it's like caramelized lemon slices under the grill on a Sunday afternoon, you know, all that crap. But it's true, it's real, it's a proper organic Campbeltown whiskey with no fancy sherry or port or finishes. It's just true to what it says in the tin. Any questions about this wonderful spirit? I think I've been about as transparent as I possibly could, but
Yeah,
anybody like to?
people are loving it. And I think like the number one kind of comment we're getting in terms of tasting notes and stuff is it's really clean. It's very floral.
Mm,
And yeah, 100%. It's super, super pretty. Um, yeah, Rob says don't mess with train spotters as well. I feel like it's very Agatha Christie, but on this day it doesn't run kind of very nitpicky. But yeah, really, really cool. Um and yeah, obviously with trying to get it as affordable and approachable as possible, we really appreciate it. Our excise sucks here in Australia, so
mm,
unfortunately makes it a little bit more up there. But yeah, I think Ashley said as well that they wouldn't have picked it for Campbelltown without the label saying it. So like, yeah,
mm.
fairy floss, floral, grippy, chalky. Yeah, really, really cool.
Yeah,
We might move on to
thank
whiskey
you.
number two, the Taro. And this is
Yeah, sure.
what what number? Because I know that you came out with this like Taro deck series. Was it last year or the year before you started?
Mm, mm.
Um,
Yeah,
and yeah, what are we on to now?
yeah, sure. So before I kind of give you a wee stories of the beginning of North Star, to introduce you to this second dram, I'm sure you're all dying of thirst because you've been waiting for me. But of course, North Star Spirits has got a kind of uh, astronomy vibe. You might kind of agree there with the North Star being the name of the company and the play on all the physics and the maths of the universe and all that kind of stuff. And all is what is true and correct. You know, the physics and the math of the universe is all true and correct, all up there, you know, and no matter kind of who you are or whatever vocation, calling, religion, height, weight, size, wealth, health, all that kind of stuff, no matter who you are, the physics and the math of the universe speaks to you all. But you know, I if you go to we're down the astronomy, sorry, the astrology route, being more tarot cards and all that kind of stuff. It's a kind of different take on it, and you know, I'm not a tarot reader or anything like that. I've never had my tarots done, but it's something that's really quite interesting. Do you know? I mean, does that really stuff work? Is it airy fairy, or is it like is there something to be said for it? I mean, I'm sure there's something to be said for it. I just don't know much about it, but I did think, well, I'd like to learn, you know, and with a little bit of research, you know, I found there's like 30 odd tarot cards, and I thought, well, you know, they look really cool, especially the vintage ones. And the tarot cards go, and somebody might work this out that I'm wrong, but it starts with 0, and the 0 card is called the Fool, and then it goes to the Emperor, and then the Empress, and then and then it goes on and on and on. So I thought, well, that could be quite cool because I've got a really good supply from one of the big boys for good aged blended Scotch. 2016 being the youngest and 1999 being the oldest. And so I thought, well, let's just go along this. We could do one, see how it goes, and we'll do the first one. It was 2016. It was an 8 years old at the time, so it was 2022, and we will I'll call that the Fool. Yeah, the first one, the Fool, the old school tarot cards. And I thought, well, what better person to have on the face of the Fool than myself? So the illustrator did that. I know sorted that. So that was the 8-year-old. Then we did I think it was the next one was the Empress, which James, who was our warehouse keeper, he was the face. And this one that you're drinking tonight is the 17-year-old the Empress, and it's Tracy, our bookkeeper. whose coupon is on the label. So she looks exactly like that. But inside the whiskey, more to the point, inside the whiskey, right? I haven't tried this in a long time, and I had to find a bottle, and the only one I could find was the one that I've kept for myself, and I'm opening it now. So inside this bottle now, I'm not allowed to tell you this either, or my beloved friends from Edgington will probably cut off supply and chop off my Christmas card and everything like this. But when I was in the meeting with Edgington, and I will say Edgington and Diageo and Pernod, all these big boys are, they're very, very kind and patient and wonderful with most of the indies and myself included. So I was in the meeting and talking about all these sexy blends, and he said, "What's the components?" And they says, "Well, I mean, it's be Edgington blends." I said, "Yeah, but what's in it?" Well, I mean, what's Edgington's distilleries? I'm like, well, I can tell you Edgington's distilleries, and I named them. I can't really name them just now, but they're like, yeah, well, that's what's in it, Iain. We're not going to make a blend with anybody else's single malts, are we? I'm like, really? Oh my God, that's amazing. Can I put that on the label? And another really condescending look over the top of their glasses. Absolutely not, Iain. So I am 99.9% sure of the contents. I am 100% sure of the ratio, which they were kind enough to give me. Where's my glasses? At that age now, I can't. Alrighty. So yeah, reading tasting notes and information off the back of a bottle like a true professional. So it's 32% malt within this bottle, within this dram. 32% of the contents is malted whiskey, which it will be all of the single malt distilleries that come from that wonderful company. And 68% is grain, which will be North British. And there you have it. What is the percentage? It is, it's quite low, isn't it? It's 43.5% alcohol, and there's only 600 bottles of this in the world. And I do believe you guys have the last of it. After talking to Chris and Ollie, yeah, we did a lot of so happy that I'm with you guys, but I did got as much of everything as I could to one, fill the palate, and one, look after their customers. But I do remember that this is the last of it, and I've just opened the very last bottle that is on my shelf, so I can just have a nose at 9:10 in the morning. What else can I tell you about this? Why would somebody like Edgington or Diageo or Pernod or Ian McLeod or these wonderful big boys sell blended Scotch at such an age to somebody like me? Why do they have that? Why would they put all those terrific single malts into a blend? And it's something I've asked myself that question a lot of the time, and it's a question that I've also wanted to ask when I'm in these fancy pants meetings. But it's one of these things you don't want to maybe ask a question where you don't want to know the answer, or they tell you something that you don't want to hear, or it just scuppers something. So asking too many questions about anything too delicate is sometimes a worry. But this is my opinion, and I think when the kind of boom, a certain boom in the whiskey industry started, such as like in the 90s or something, when, maybe I'm just going to use grouse as an example, but when grouse and the whiskey industry was beginning to see a resurgence, there was like, oh, grouse. All right. Well, everything's going great. Let's do an aged grouse, or let's do a 10-year-old white Mackay, or, or a single malt kind of Scotty Sark. I don't know. And wonder, was that the right thing to do? Would somebody that wants a bottle of grouse, which is an amazing blend, would they want to, spend more money on something that's got an age on it or a higher ABV? Maybe not. So maybe by creating these kind of unique blends with a fantastic brand, that liquid kind of went back into wood. Maybe the desire wasn't there, and then went back into wood and carried on aging, and then I get my grubby paws on it. So I think that's where it comes from, and I'm really lucky that the supply is there, because getting really old, lovely distillery named single casks is still possible, but it's the desire is kind of it feels quite deflated because of the price that some idiots are asking. And then when I have a price, I need to kind of buy it, and I need to put it in a bottle, and then I need to sell it to a wholesaler who sells it to a retailer who sells it to a customer. It's like, oh my God, it's like impossible. So it's although it's beginning to loosen up now because of the concave of industry we're in at the moment, celebrating blends and blended malts in a more, if you would, humble spirit is fun. It's fun, and it's yeah, it's and right now it's still achievable, and I think it will always be financially achievable. I don't think they can go too crazy on prices, but anyways, let's see what it's like.
Ian, I got a question
It's
for you
whiskey.
because
Oh yeah, shit.
was
I've
it?
got,
Do you know
I've
if it
got,
was fully
I've
matured
got,
in the
I've got,
separate distilleries and then blended, or was it because William Grant's has done some experiments in the past where they got the distillates from the various distilleries and then matured it as a blend from the get-go as new make?
yeah. Somebody else is, some other geek has asked me that question as well. I don't know.
It's fine. I'm just
That
curious.
I don't know. That's such a good question, and it's like such a geeky one as well. But I just do not know. If I'm honest, I think that it's been blended to at maturity. Because my visions of that, Ollie, would be like they've got to create a brand that's consistent. And to do that, they need to make sure that what goes into the big vat is what they want. Not too peaty, not too smoky, not too sherried. Oh shite. Not too sherried. So they keep that brand consistent. Would they do? I mean, I don't know. I don't think so. I really don't think so. I
Because
think it's
if
all
they did
being
like a giant
vatted.
Solera of the, imagine this is the famous grouse, not the name naked one. Um, you reckon they were just planning to do like a Chivas 18 or something like that, and then they just change their direction? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, Ollie. I think, in my opinion, it's been, they need a little bit of sherry from Speyside. Maybe they need a little bit of like peat from the Highlands. Like a Roonmore, maybe, I don't know, to keep the brand consistent. I'm only saying that because I don't know, but I've never, and it's going to make me think about this kind of blending it at birth. But yeah, I can't really answer that truthfully. I would just be waffling. Right.
Yeah, I know that we have seen some like particularly older from the like 80s and 90s. I know some indie bottlers have had those barrels that were New Mix Spirit and then matured together. I almost part of me kind of wonders if they were like, well, it's so much effort getting like all of these different distillery single malts to then blend them together to the right level. I imagine some blender somewhere was like, what if we just distilled them, put them into barrel together so they can marry, and then we blend across that for the flavor we want. Sure. Someone must have thought, this is a cheat code to make it easier, and then it wasn't, so they just went back to how they were doing it.
Yeah, probably.
It
I
might
don't know.
be.
I don't know. I could find out for you if if it would help. I just don't know. So
Yeah, it'd be, really curious. But uh yeah, I think this is gorgeous. I've loved I think the Emperor was my favorite so far. Was it the Emperor? The Magician? I can't remember.
The
The second
Magician, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
that
the
was it.
second
The
one is
second
the
one.
Magician. Yeah.
Yes. I remember that one was my absolute hands down favorite, and then it was gone, and I
Mm.
could never get my hands on it. But this is
Yeah.
really beautiful. The touch of peat from the H distillery owned by Edrington
Mm.
is very, very good. But yeah, and I think that you should continue to like not ask how they get how these barrels or how these blends come about, because you know, there's something I heard of from the comedian John Oliver. It's the sausage principle. If you love something, never find out how it's made because you'll be horrified.
Yeah. Mhm.
So yeah. Ashley's excited to see what ends up being the death blend. Leo says some of the most intriguing whiskies he's tried are these mystery blends that were blended as new make and then aged. Yeah.
Mm.
Super interesting and super cool. And I also, you know, going into the astrology element of the brand, will we see a like a star signs release? You know, is that how we trick women into drinking whiskey?
Yeah.
We you know, get them their star signs.
Uh,
Like glob
God.
onto that realm of people.
Emma, men like star signs as well, you know. It is
They
the
do.
90s. Come on,
They
come
do.
on.
They just don't
You can't
admit
say
it.
that anymore. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I've maybe played on the mythical kind of stories of the universe. I mean, which I'd love to tell you the kind of birth of North Star and the branding and stuff of if you'd like to just enjoy this whiskey for a time. But when I'd left AD Rattree and I decided to start my own company, and you know, I had worked out some supply, and I had worked out some fantastic customers that were unique to me. You know, some people that I had worked with in whiskey, but perhaps I'd worked with them so much that I knew their wife or their husband, or I knew what football team their kids support. And, you know, although we would have whiskey meetings, it would kind of be, you know, 25% business. And then it's like social, you know, and that social, when the social is going well, you know, the business goes well. So it was such a wonderful, wonderful time. I mean, it still is. But because I had supply of whiskies that were made by an incredibly intelligent lady or man, and I had customers that were willing to buy from me, I was like, oh my God, right? Okay, how is this going to look? You know, how am I going to, you know, who's going to buy a whiskey from me? You know, and why? And so I kind of spent some time like on the Google machine and like looking like branding and looking what was cool, what is cool, what if you mix them both together, you know, modern and traditional. And everything I could see really came back with, well, that's been done, or that will be done by somebody else, probably better, you know. And so I was really at odds with how it was going to look. I think I even Googled my name, like my last name, and my mum's like maiden name, to see like, oh, it was one of them, maybe like a farmer in Speyside in 1820 called Johnny McDonald, and I could use that name and play on that, all that crap, you know. I was like, oh God. Of course, nothing. We were all just butchers and murderers, you know, back then. But we I was sitting in the old house that she's now my wife, but she was my girlfriend at the time. Before kids, when one could sit on a weeknight and have a glass of wine and watch a drama, you know. And I was sitting there and I thought, right. And I was a smoker in those days as well, right? I used to smoke. Oh, and I loved those things. Oh, God, I love them. Anyways, I was 2 or 3 glasses deep of Rioja, and I was trying to think of this name. We were watching like a drama, Downton Abbey or something, and I went outside for a cigarette, and it was one of these lovely nights. It was all clear, really, really clear skies, but cold. So even if you weren't smoking, all the kind of whatever it is called, the hot air on the cold breeze would be like smoke anyways. And I was like, okay, what speaks to everybody? What speaks to everybody? You know, I've got to think of a brand that speaks to everybody, you know, no matter who you are in this world. You know, that's where I should be going with this. And then another chug of Rioja. And I thought, I know, music, right? Music. No matter who you are in this world, you know, your color, your creed, your vocation, your calling, your religion, your height, your weight, your wealth, your health, your pureness, your whatever. If you want to learn how to read and play music, you can. And it's the same, no matter who you are. It's the same bloody thing, right? It sounds the same. It's the same. So I came back in and I went, Zoe, this is my wife. She's my wife now, first wife, I keep calling her. I'm like, Zoe, I've got it. Music. We'll go with music. No matter who you are, your color, your creed, your vacation, your calling, blah, 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 blah. It's all the same. And she's watching Downton Abbey and she's like, looked at me and went, that's an absolutely ridiculous idea. No chance, you know. And I'm like, oh, she's probably right. Yeah, as always, she's probably right. Now I'm married. She is, of course, always right. But then I went back outside. Another kind of big chunk of Rioja, another Marlboro Light, of those things. And I'm not over romanticizing this, guys. I'm not bullshitting. This is actually the God's honest truth. I sat down on the kind of wee stoop of the house, and cigarette in hand, and I looked up, and it was like, as I said, this really clear, beautiful night. And then when your eyes adjust, it's like, oh my God, all these stars came out that I didn't notice like the first time. And it was like really, really lovely. If it wasn't cold, I would probably still be there. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh, I'm like, what about something like astrology? Like astrology, that means like, you know, no matter who you are, the vocation you're calling, your health, your wealth, blah, blah, blah. No matter who you are, you know, the physics and the math of the universe and all the stars and whatnot, it speaks to everybody. So I went baback inside, pleased as punch, and I said to Zoe, what about like something in astrology, you know, something star-led, something to do with the physics? And she says, oh yeah, stars. What, North Star? And I'm like, that was just that moment where you're like, bingo, that's it. Absolutely, without question, 100% in the bag. And I slept really well that night. And the next day we got up and we went to the Glasgow Art Galleries, really, really brilliant museum in the West End of Glasgow. And if you're ever over, I'd highly recommend. It's free and it's amazing. And we walked around and I just felt a moment of like, oh, North Star, this is what it's going to be. You know, I could really feel it and just absorbing myself in all this world culture. And within the art galleries there's an array, which is a mechanical model of the universe. And it's within this lovely oak box and it's surrounded by glass. But the inside, the array itself is brass, right? And it's massive. You know, it's massive. It's like size of a snooker table, but even a bit bigger almost, right? And so an array, in case you don't know, it's a mechanical model of the universe. So you got the sun in the middle, you got lots of sticks, and all the kind of planets are going around it. We had one at school, it was plastic, but yeah, it's a mechanical, it shows you the time. It's a mechanical model of time, of how much time it takes for all these planets to go around the sun. And I was watching it, I was like a child in a bakery shop window, like looking at this and going, oh my God, it's so beautiful, you know, really emotional and all that. Okay, you know. And so that is where the kind of the branding came from. The word North Star, thank you to Rioja and my wife. And the gear is what we kind of call it now, is based on the array of mechanical. So, you know, this is a bit kind of airy-fairy, but you know, what I kind of thought at the beginning was, well, this is time, a model of time. So at the beginning of time, you have the cask series. We tell you which cask series this particular cask came from. And then over time, let me get this in the camera. Over time, we tell you when this particular whiskey was distilled. And then further time, what type of wood it was matured in. And then for how long. And then over some more time, when it was bottled and at what percent. Some ridiculous tasting notes. And how many bottles that we are able to offer the person that's drinking it. So that is a kind of method to the label. One label, one bottle, one quart, one capsule, no faff, no cartons or hamster coffins, I like to call them, which actually, it was really weird. But when I was in Sydney for the very first time, and I think I'd put out a couple of series already, and I was in, was it Brunswick Cellars or something like that in Sydney, or this is really cool downstairs kind of I can't remember what it's called, but amazing like whiskey bar in the center of Sydney, and there's all kind of chalk written, you know, Glenn Farkless, 45 years old, you know, and all written in chalk. And then when they run out, they put a score through it. Really cool, like an old kind of like seafood like menu almost, but it's got whiskey on it. And I was sitting
Baxter
at the
in
bar. Baxter's. That's the very one. Yeah. Oh my gosh, what a great place. And I was down there, and I was standing at the bar waiting to get some beers and kind of soaking up the kind of thing. And this lady was standing waiting. She was in the queue before me, and she said, "Oh, can I have the two 40-year-old Dalmores, right, or something like that?" And I'm like, "Oh my god, I've never heard anybody say that at a bar before. You know, that's usually something that one would have a bottle of at home and bring out at special occasions. You know." And then the barman went and got a bottle. The bottle on the shelf had run out, and he went through to the store, got a bottle out of this lacquer box, and it had all the kind of the red kind of velvet in it and all that shit. And he took out the bottle and he threw the box in the bin, and he poured this nice lady 2 shots. And then it was my turn next. And I'm like, "Oh my god, you just threw out the packaging." He says, "Yeah, man. Yeah, nobody needs it. Nobody needs it. You know." And that was a great kind of like immediate like, yeah, word, man. Yeah, this world doesn't need any more crap, you know. Absolutely. You need one bottle with all the information that I'm allowed to tell you, one cork. Well, you need the cork or it would go everywhere, and a capsule to hold the cork in place, but nothing else, you know. So no matter if you're buying a $40 bottle, or not that you guys probably see much of that away down there, but if you're buying like say a $90 bottle, or you're buying a $3,000 bottle from North Star, one label, one just the exact same. So that's the beginning of the brand. Should we move on to the next whiskey? Can you remind me which one it was?
We are on to. I've already started tucking into it. I think some other people have the Benriach 10-year-old. And this is a really great chance as well to ask you, because we've seen more Benriach hit the independent bottling market. Do you think it has something to do with the rebranding or whatever? Like, I feel like I've seen more Benriachs than I typically would.
Well, good point. Where did I buy that from again? I cannot remember where I bought this. I think it was maybe from one of the suppliers to the independent bottling world that yeah, great big company. They own some distilleries also, but they maybe have a huge library of casks, you know, a huge warehouse full of casks, and then they'll decide, right, this quarter we'll release some Kildalton, we'll release some Benriach, we'll release some Glengoyne, whatever. And so all of us get the kind of the same stuff at the same time, which can be kind of frustrating, I suppose. But you know, for one, it's frustrating that you're not coming out with something that everybody's like, "Ooh, where did he get that from?" You know, but it's also good because everybody's maybe got access to the same thing at the same time. Nobody, you know, no idiot's going to go, Benriach, I haven't seen one of these in years. Like, we can charge a fortune for that, you know. So yeah, it keeps us on our toes. So that's all I can say for that. But this is the Benriach from 10-year-old, is it? The bottled in August. Can I just check
Possibly.
you've got the same
That is
one?
an Ollie confirmation question, because he has the bottles with him in Sydney and I don't. But
It's the
yeah.
Oloroso, but 53.5%.
Oloroso Hogshead.
No,
What?
but
53.5%. What, have you got the bottle in front of you?
I don't, unfortunately.
Okay. Okay, great. So yeah, this whiskey you ladies and gentlemen are trying was distilled in November 2014 from an Oloroso cask from the Benriach distillery. And on the nose, now you guys please bear with me with these ridiculous tasting notes I seem to put on the bottles, but they mean something to me usually at the time. Freshly baked ripe apples with stewed brambles. Now, that's of course complete subjective. And on the palate, that tart apple pie just served up as a hidden touch of marzipan. Wasn't expecting and not complaining. On the finish, the dusting of icing on that pie works well with the Oloroso finish. So, yeah, my tasting notes are another thing at the beginning of the company. Oh, it's 53.5%. Another thing at the beginning of the of starting the company is like creating tasting notes. You know, I'm like, bloody hell, man, have I got that vocabulary within me? You know, I did it for AD Ratchery quite a bit, but they were, you know, it was very safe, you know, so you could use words like vanilla and, you know, coconut and things like that, because they had such a vast audience that you kind of had to be careful, you know, and I respected that. But on my own company, I was like, well, hang on a minute. Why I could run the risk of looking ridiculous if I'm trying to write tasting notes like Charlie MacLean or, you know, any of these greats, Serge Valentine, you know. I'm like, how am I going to do this? So it was another night of me really trying to find myself and how to do this. And of course, like everything, it's you kind of be yourself, you know. That was the kind of, as soon as you kind of realize that's the way to go, that's, you know, you can't ever come back from that. So when I say by being myself, it's kind of got to be something that's completely maybe unique to me, but it's something I can explain to somebody. And ultimately, it's nostalgia is what is one of the things, being a Scot and being, you know, remembering how things used to be, you know, nostalgia is such a powerful feeling. And to me anyways, and I all my tasting notes have got to kind of act as a time machine, you know. So this particular one is like apple pie and brambles, like blackberries, maybe you call them out there, but it's you know, it takes you back to places that you might long have ever forgot. Like just nipping back to the Campbeltown for an example, and I've maybe said this in tastings many times, so please roll your eyes, but I'll move on quickly. But one of the first times I really got that kind of sense of nostalgia was opening up a cask of blended malt from Campbeltown. And it stuck my nose in it, like you do. And then I nosed it, and it was like this, like, bang, this bright light, and then this feeling of nostalgia. Then it was walking down this hill called Ferry Brae Dunoon with my gran when I was 8 years old, and we were walking past a toy shop called Tortoise, where it was filled with Matchbox cars and Hot Wheels in the window, and there was a train set running around the window as well. And it had just stopped raining, and the sun had came out, and the smell of that cold, wet rain on hot tarmac, right? And the smell of a diesel taxi just drove past, right? I'm like, oh my God, that's a wonderful memory that I just like completely forgotten about. And you know, okay, that's a good whiskey. We're bottling that. So, you know, with that power and that kind of energy and joy that I get from whiskey, it's got to kind of for me anyways, I'm not saying this is for everybody, but for me, it's got to kind of evoke these kind of feelings of nostalgia, or even at least, you know, by analyzing it longer, can you find that? Which is why I've got the apple pie and the brambles. It's very personal to me. My mom collects brambles. She makes a wicked apple pie, and usually when we're all together, you know, and now my sister and my dad have gone, it's kind of, you know, we don't really see the apple pies as much. So it's kind of, yeah, it all means so much, but just on the one label. So any questions?
No, I think it's beautiful. Like I definitely get that real candied note. The icing sugar, it like definitely comes through. But I agree with you. Even as someone like, so obviously I come across a lot of whiskey in my career, and I get the opportunity to buy a lot of whiskey in my career. But the ones I find myself most drawn to are the ones that smell or taste like a really strong nostalgic memory for me. And I think that like I sort of had this morbid conversation with my husband of like, if I'm dead, like just sell them because they're only meaningful to me. They're my memories that I've bought in liquid form. Like, you know, he was like, I would keep bottles that remind me of you, but beyond that, it's just like, yeah, you know, these whiskeys are memories and nostalgia, and you know, like a snapshot of my life or my career. And yes, Rob, don't sell them for what I told you I paid for them. But yeah, no, it's I think that that's like a great way to approach you know, bottling whiskey. And I think Nathan's just come in with a great tasting note. Whiz Fizz. Yeah, it absolutely has some of that like Whiz Fizz fruitiness to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so and Leo
Just
said,
go, just going.
yeah, go
All
for
right,
it.
sorry, carry on. I was just going back to you said like if your husband you has to sell your whiskey. I now just turning 50. I'm like, okay, I realize I'm not bulletproof. You know, I'm not going to get another 50, and you know, and I'm thinking, God, if I do get hit by a bus or something, you know, the kid's going to be all right, or wife's going to be all right, and all that kind of. And then I'm like, God, if I do get hit by a bus, and you know, hopefully my wife carries on with life and finds somebody else, and you know, has a lovely, you know, twilight years with someone else, of course. But then I'm like, who's he going to be? You know, is he going to like whiskey? Because if he doesn't like whiskey and he opens up all this shit and puts Coke in it, do you know what I mean? Or gets all his boys round to watch the football and opens up that 30-year-old Bowmore, you know, I'm going to come down and I'm going to haunt you both, you know.
You're just like, I'm prepared to fight this
Oh,
imaginary
yeah,
person in the worst case
yeah.
scenario.
I know what he looks like. I know it. I know he's probably got this really annoying accent. Probably drives a really nice car, and I bet he doesn't like dogs. And that would really get my goat up if he doesn't like dogs. Anyways, anyways, we can't. Yeah.
No, I love that.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
I was just gonna say as well, I agree with Leo. Like, I would have pegged that this was like an older bourbon cask or like a third fill. Like, it's like beautifully delicate in the way it's
Mm.
kind of approached. And we might move on to something that, I mean, visually, and we'll see if it does flavor wise, visually has a lot darker, more noticeable
Mm.
Oloroso influence. The
Mm.
Inchfad 18-year-old. Do you deal a lot with Loch Lomond Group, obviously with buying the Campbeltown blends and
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah, yeah. I've only met those guys in the room once or twice. I've seen them at fairs quite often, and usually at fairs it's more of a like social. Oh, yeah, how's it going? Yeah, everything. Oh, what you got under the table? Oh, great. Oh, good to see you. Call you, email you next week. You know, so but they seem to kind of like what I do, and they seem to support me well. You know, I'm not saying they support me better or anything than anyone else, but maybe I'm just so, you know, like delighted that people will kind of support me. But yeah, I remember when I first started, March 2016, you know, and I had access to some casks and but I didn't have any Campbeltown at those days. I didn't have any Springbank, you know, cost prohibitive, still is cost prohibitive, but I I knew that Loch Lomond own Glen Scotia. So I kind of got the email of the chap, Andy Calder, Bill White, and emailed to say, you know, can I please buy some Campbeltown, anything Campbeltown at all, you know? And it was a no, you know, there's no, no, no. And I think about every quarter, I emailed the same person replying to their reply of no, you know, just checking in. And it's kind of keeping it kind of like quite dry, you know, just like dear Mr. White, or you know, and then I think they maybe got sick of me and knowing I wasn't going away, and they said, "Oh my God, right here, well, there's some blended malt, you know," and that was the start of it. It was 2014 at the time, and I think by the time I got supply, it was 2017, and then I bottled it as a 5-year-old or a. I've got yeah, I've got a bottle of it here. Oh, sorry, still my jammies. You've seen my jammies there. Yeah. So this was the second one I did back in the day. And 2019, I bottled that, but I did one in 17 as well. So it was really good to get you know, get supply from them. And that's of course developed into some other blends and some other interesting whiskies. They're really, really nice to deal with. Great to everybody's great in whiskey mostly. But I didn't get this cask from them. Although Inchfad is one of them, I don't think they would sell me something named of that age, you know, because if they do it to me, they'd have to do it to everybody, and that would just be a nightmare. I think I got this from Ian McLeod, who are great supporters, great company to work with. And yeah, Inchfad, and there's Inchmurren that comes out of Loch Lomond, both peated versions. And Which one's the peatier one? I don't know. I've even asked the distiller. Wow, we don't know. But I don't know, but certainly it's some peat on this one. I don't have the tasting notes to hand, I'm afraid. I don't have that bottle. All I have is this really cloudy sample of it. Am I right to say it's April 2007? Ollie?
Possibly.
I believe so. Yes.
Mm. Yeah, there's this kind of slight touch of sulfur in a lovely, lovely way.
Yeah,
But
I think everyone as well is like, because when I smelt it, it reminded me of like fish and chocolate and meat, and it's like a couple people have gotten like maple syrup, like bitter maple syrup. Tim got cured meats, and Leo agrees with me that brine and melted chocolate type vibe. It's got like so much going on. Howard says an unusual taste, can't get his taste buds around it quite yet. Michael, dusty red leather on the nose, salty mineral, briny, soft peat, red fruits. Matthew, beautifully savory whiskey. Ollie's getting like deli meats. Inchfad is one of those Loch Lomond styles, I suppose, is probably the best way to describe it. That we don't like see a lot of, and it's probably the most intriguing one they produce. Like, I feel like they either go like Die Hard with Croft and Geo, that like super ashy, peaty vibe, or like their unpeated Loch Lomond or Inchmore and stuff. But then, the Inchfads are always, I find, the most interesting of the bunch. And this is super cool and super weird, but super cool.
Yeah, it's really dry. I think the sample that I've got in front of me, I'm afraid, is the sample that I would have pulled from the cask before we bottled it. And not that we do chill filtration, but there's a certain element of filtration, a micron filter we call it, that gets rid of the cloudiness or any char or bits of wood or maybe the whiskey that I've got in front of me is not a great ambassador to the one that you've got, and I apologize for that. But yes, it is funky, it is dry, and definitely leather and mineral notes. Oh, hi Justin, just noticed you there. Hi pal.
Everyone say hi, Justin.
Hi Justin. Yeah. Karen and Ian. I've just changed my view now. I can see people.
Oh yay!
Gosh.
Amazing.
Look at you sun bleached people. Look at you, handsome bunch. So Highland Distillery, meaty is a great example, and something about Highland peat I kind of really liked. I feel like I'm completely absorbed myself in Isla peat over the years, and I love it, as does everybody. And when I started really absorbing things like Glenturret, and Ruadmore, the peated version, and of course Inchmore and Inchfad, I'm like, it seems, some might say a kind of more, but like thoughtful peat, or more of a, like I don't know if that's a great example, apologies, but just a really intelligent kind of peat ratio, and the distillate, alongside that, it works really well. I definitely think there's been enough time in wood. I think maybe Loch Lomond in its teenage years is, in my opinion, perhaps the ultimate. Should I have time, I would have probably pulled that out at bottling and put it into a refill. It's had perfect amount of sherry. I wouldn't want any more. So any
100%.
questions on that one? Yeah.
Well, Michael, I think, put it, it's a thinking man's peat, like that Highland style.
Very good.
And I definitely, particularly for peated whiskey from Loch Lomond, like if you've ever driven through the Trossachs, which thankfully my husband and I drove through, it's like, it tastes like that sense of place of like just these big sprawling mountains and landscapes and rocky and
come on, this is my cleaner, and that's my wife Zoe, the North Star. She's look how good this is. Hey,
Look at that
thank you, darling.
service.
Thank you. Yeah. What?
Incredible.
She's like that. Look at me, look at me. Yeah.
It did take me a hot second to remember the reference of of that politician. This is like the wife and the kid bumping into the room.
Oh yes, yeah. Wouldn't it have been so much better just picking up the child and just having a cuddle?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
everybody would have
100%.
voted for him. Yeah, we would have all fallen in love.
But
So
yeah, no.
yeah, good.
I love
So,
that, Rob. You wouldn't be drinking that after you called her your cleaner.
I know.
You
I'm
might
gonna
be the
get it,
first
actually.
husband.
Yeah, yeah. She was my first wife. Yeah, actually. Yeah.
Oh, we might move
Oh
on
dear.
to whiskey number 5, the Caol 18-year-old Pinot Noir cask. I
Wow.
haven't seen a wine specific cask Caol from an independent bottler in like a long time. The last one I remember was there was some Hermitage casks that were bottled by Gordon and MacPhail, but like Ollie chime in and other people chime in if I'm wrong, but I haven't seen like a dedicated table wine or red wine cask Caol released recently under an IB.
Yeah. So, well, another reason to try and become unique, try and not do something other people are doing. I mean, Caol, a lot of indies have got it. Of 18 years old, maybe not. And finished in a Pinot Noir cask. That's from quite a good house. Like is a good thing. Is a good thing. I remember one of the reviews that Serge wrote about one of our whiskies. It was a good review, but he said, well, what type of port is this in? What type? No, it was Madeira. It was a Madeira finish, something or other. And he says, well, what type of Madeira? These Indians should tell us that. And in fairness, I didn't know, but I'm like, well, I could have maybe found out. Maybe he's got a point. If I'm going to be all this transparent over tasting notes and age and ABV, and maybe I should have been less lazy and found out what type of Madeira. So this is indeed, I suppose, the hangover from Serge telling me to up my game. So thank you, Serge. So 18 years old, Caol, no introductions with the distillery. It's a very small, lovely artisan distillery on the island of Isla. Family run, of course, husband and wife team. They produce, I think, about 3 barrels a week. And no, it's no. Is there any more of a consistent distillery than Caol? I don't know. It's just a vast, massive machine, and it churns out some amazing whiskey, owned by Diageo, and independent bottlers like us were once able to buy Caol direct from the wonderful team up there. But just due to, I suppose, demand for their own brands, that has now become more of a challenge. So with this series 26, that especially for kind of maybe for the UK, I wanted to, as I said earlier, how the desire for dark spirits, perhaps just in a global sense, is not as fresh as it once was. The desire's there, but the kind of the being able to sell whiskies that are over £100, certainly in the UK, is becoming harder. It's a more narrow bunch of folk there. So after speaking to a lot of people, I worked out that the sweet spot is, of course, 50 quid for a bottle. Not that this one was, but it was kind of bringing out some of the old whiskies that I had bought back in the day. I probably bought that when it was 10 years old in 2017, right? And then it's been with me ever since. So this is the oldest one I've got, I think. I don't think I've got another one as old. The tasting notes on this I've gone to town on this one. All right, So here's some nostalgia for you. On the nose, 2-stroke fumes from my old Suzuki ER50 racing through the wet Sitka spruce up the back of Dunoon as a 13-year-old kid. I don't know if anybody's ever had a 2-stroke dirt bike, but this thing was like a rust bucket, but I adored it. I got it for my 13th birthday? I mean, my parents must have been mad. They bought me this motorbike without a helmet and this rust bucket. But as a 13-year-old kid, anything that's a combustion engine and you own it is like, it's just the most amazing thing in the world. And I don't know where my dad got it. I think from a nice traveler family locally or something. I don't know. But this thing was a bucket of bolts, but it was mine. And it was, well, I thought it was fast. But going up the back of Dunoon just about every day, driving about, and that smoke from the fumes, like, I mean, maybe you haven't driven a 2-stroke motorbike, but chainsaws, kind of the same smell, cutting down Sitka spruce, what do you call it? The sap, do you know what I mean? From these kind of softwood trees. And the pissing rain of Scotland, it's unique. So that's where the madness of that comes from. Right on the palate, 18 years has softened the peat just enough to glide with sweetness, and aromatic complexity due to its 5 years in French oak. Fucking hell, what a load of crap. But it's true. It's true. It is. Yeah. I mean, as a Islay whiskey gets older, the peat kind of notes dissipate, of course, and I think, you know, I love a young Islay in a port octave or something, and so you've got that fortified wine, and you've got the kind of young peaty madness. But this is a kind of flip side of that. It's kind of softer, but it's got some really intelligent wine notes going on. On the finish, coats your mouth with a dry, creamy sensation. The peat hangs around, says hello, as the liquid drops down below. Bottled August 2025, 54.4%. So let me just try a wee one with you. You see, the problem is, you see, it's just coming up for 10 o'clock in the UK. And even just 5 wee tiny sips, right? 5 wee tiny sips, or even the thought of it makes it gets to lunchtime, and I'm like, beers, you know, and then and then it's never good, never ever good. Yeah, better not.
Yeah, I think we had a tasting with a German indie bottler. I think it was Vincent from Liquid Treasures, and he was like, "Oh yeah, now that I've finished this tasting, it's lunchtime here in Germany. I'm gonna go have a beer, have like a big fabulous lunch." And I was just like, "Oh, that sounds like the life." Scotland's slightly too early with the time zones.
Yeah, but hey, it's only a number. Hey.
Exactly. Yeah. This is phenomenal. I mean, like I got this, like, you know, that sauce that they put on Peking duck, that like sweet, savory,
Peking
ducky,
sauce?
huh?
Peking sauce? Peking sauce?
Oh, is that what it's called? You don't eat it. My aunts love it. So I was exposed to it, but I don't eat it. I didn't know it was Peking sauce. No, it's just like, I'm sure there's another name for Central Bar sauce or something like that. But yeah, it's that sweetness like really coming through. But yeah, Howard was struggling to taste the Pinot as well in the peat, and like I kind of get it. It's really well integrated. It's not like you're not getting that big bombastic tannin. It's you know, like, yeah, much more rounded out, and quite sweet as well, which is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a lovely color as well, and the labels, as you know, I've kind of explained to you the method behind the brand. Let me hold that right. But I'm sure you're all aware they're all different colors. The teal and copper foil being Islay, of course. The red being Speyside, blue being Highland, Lowlands, yellow, Campbeltown, orange. And Ireland, although that's not really a recognized region of Scotch, of kind of done this kind of khaki green thing, and it's pretty cool. So yeah, well, when I worked for AD Ratchery, which I adored and I loved, and what a lovely family and lovely team we had there, I was often like, I was amazed, and I still am, about independent bottling. Like, how the hell does that work? You know what I mean? Really, it's like, how you buy a cask and you can like put it in your bottle and put the name of the distillery on it? Like, that's just nuts by anyone's standard. Amazing. How do you do this? And I'm still like that. I'm still like, I've got that fresh kind of feeling of, fucking wow. That kind of fresh feelings turned into just being, wow, I'm so lucky that I get to do this. But what I did think was, when I was there, and these bottles look great, really classic, really lovely, and the man who owns its signature on it, and all the bits and bobs to make it looks really classic. And I often thought, before I had the opportunity to do it myself, I thought, what would I do if I was in their position? And I thought, you know, something, a smaller bottle that was kind of small and fat, you know, comes to the front of any display, perhaps in a bar or something. And, you know, a label that's colorful, you know, that kind of, I mean, everybody's kind of, a lot of people are maybe doing it now with colorful labels and stuff, but I think back in 2016, it was maybe quite a fresh like take on it. And something that is, everything that's white on this label, no, beg your pardon, everything that is foil on this label remains the same no matter the bottling. So the white is all unique. So with that was it kind of looked great. I mean, it still does. It looks really, really good, but it does stand out, and which is what I wanted. If I could get the consumer to go, "Whoa, what is that? That's like interesting," whether you like it or not, you know, it's like kind of interesting to look at. What's going on here? And then if you got the customer to walk over and read it, then they can make the decision like, okay, yeah, that sounds like it's something I would like to have in my house. Which is what I was trying to achieve. So with no faff, with not trying to say anything other than what it is. It's got the name, all the names of what I'm allowed to say. It's got when it was made and when it was bottled. It's got my own tasting notes, which adds the kind of personality to it. And it looks kind of funky. It looks kind of quite good as a gift or sit on your shelf. It's got that kind of a interesting look. So, like a lot of things, I suppose, like your your car, your curtains, your carpet, pictures on your wall. Over time, you kind of feel like that needs adjusted, or that needs maybe freshened up, or and I get like that quite often. I'd like to change my car a lot, and I like to, I get bored of things on my wall and change them. But with North Star, yet I haven't really thought I need to change the look of the brand. I have thought about it sometimes. I thought maybe we could do the wee freshen up here. And when I go into that world and get my pen and paper out, there's nothing that kind of I think I'd like to change that's environmentally friendly and unique. And so as far as I'm concerned, I'm just going to keep the branding the way it is, and the quality of the liquid as much as I can, this as good as what I've been offered. It's easy for me to say it's good whiskey because I didn't make it. I didn't make it. I'm just the lucky sod that gets to put all these elements together. So, long may it continue. That's now, well, next year will be 2026. Yeah. And that's North Star will be 10 years old. I'm kind of slightly amazed at myself that I managed to do this for as long. I'm like really happy. Like my parents are really proud and all that, and my wife is happy and whatever. So it's good in that sense. But I'm kind of wondering, like, just turning 50 as well. I'm like, right, I'm not getting another 50. And then I'm like, with North Star, I'm like, okay, just turning 10. Am I going to get another 10? I don't want to become complacent and go, yeah, of course, I'm North Star's great. Well, no, don't want to be like that. I just got to wake up every morning and go, wow, fucking hell, man, this is terrific. Aren't I lucky? And keep humble, keep humble. It's something that I am very, very careful is not become complacent, or you're here because of anything else other than the luck and the grace of God or whoever's up there. I don't know. But if you stop being humble and you start thinking this is what I do, that's when shit's going to hit the fan. So I will always be completely humble and thankful that I am in this industry. If I can get another couple of years, doing this, I'm great. If another 10 years, I mean, amazing. But it's a tough time at the moment. It's really tough. And the humility has got to continue. I don't going to talk about anybody in particular, but the people that don't have humility in this industry, I don't think will last. If you're jumping about the place like you think you're Mick Jagger, and I don't think the longevity of that is going to last. Humility, honesty, transparency from the get-go might give you some more time. So thank you for supporting North Star this far, and I'm hoping for many, many more years. But it just does feel like it's either we're gonna grow and we're gonna be big, or we're gonna stay the same, and whatever. So I'm gonna keep growing with as much as I can with the whiskies that I have available to me. So.
Yeah, amazing. I think I agree with Leo as well. You don't need to update the logo or the branding. It's tradition for a reason, and it's recognition as well. At the end of the day, if you've spent all that time building an image and then change it, like what was that time built with that image? In saying that, though, our last not whiskey of the tasting looks very different. It's a very different aesthetic. For a very different product. I'm shocked that you haven't got a lawsuit about it, honestly.
Waiting.
That's I feel like certain SOUP companies might be coming after you.
I think so too. Yeah. I've had my fair share of lawyer letters come through my door, and thankfully, because I've got a very fancy pants solicitor, I've always come out unscathed, however slightly skinter. But I've never done anything that would get me into trouble. This particular branding you could potentially consider it looks like a kind of soup brand, but I'm not convinced. There's a certain element of fun to it. I mean, it was a charity bottling. Let's get that straight. That's all the money that was brought in because of this went to a Campbeltown distillery, a charity. Now, the reason behind this brand is inside it is Kahlua, or what's the other Maria? Oh God, I can't.
I know. That's the Italian one? That's no. It starts with a B. My mind's gone blank on it right now.
Yeah, so is mine. But I'll tell you what the reason behind all this, and the kind is one of the big boys who supplies me. They when they email you to say, "Hi, Iain, we've got this. Want to pass it under your radar?" Usually, no matter what it is, you're like, "Oh yeah, that's great, thank you very much." Because you don't want to be offered something, say no, and then you're like, well, the next time they've got something obscure and weird, I might not be the first or in their mindset to offer me. So one of the big guys came to me and they said, "Iain, I've got something really weird. It might be up your street." I'm like, okay, go on. We supply a chocolate liqueur company, and they have reneged on their deal. I'm like, all right, okay, that's a shame. Sorry to hear that. For all concerned, we've got like loads of Tia Maria unsweetened, Kahlua unsweetened. What's that? Teachers.
Cafe Borghetti was the one I was thinking of. Cafe Borghetti in Italy. Yeah.
Something like that. Yep. We got what's that Italian liqueur that they all drink after their meal?
Frangelico?
No, the other one that's like
Oh.
usually in tall, slim bottles.
Tall, slim
anyway.
bottles.
Galileo?
No, tall, slim bottles. Italian white.
Galliano, you mean, Ollie?
Yeah, that one,
Galliano, not
there we go.
Galileo the scientist.
Yeah. Galileo. Yeah, and there was like blended malt, blended Scotch. There was tequila, Cuervo Gold, Courvoisier VSOP, Jim Beam 60%, Courvoisier 60%, right? All of this stuff, right, that you get in chocolate liqueurs, right? I'm like, oh my God, like, can I use Jim Beam on the label? You know, no, it's a brand name, Ian. Can I use Courvoisier? No, Ian. So I'm like, cool, whatever, send it. That's great. So I got all of this stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do with this? So what I'm going to do with it is I kind of had some fun with it. That is the chocolate, and I did a coffee one as well, like this. And I have some fun with it. And because I got it at such a good price, well, actually, the first price that I got was like, okay, it kind of works. If I kind of get some good support behind this, it might work. But they came back to me with another deal to say, look, there's more of it if you want. I'm like, whoa, no. But they offered me at such a good price that it works out that, gosh, I could have some fun with this and, you know, do a wee bit for charity or whatever else. So that's where that came from. It wasn't by design. It wasn't like I'm going to go out and look for something. I was kind of offered something and then got my creative hat on and thought, well, let's do something and see if we can do something for charity and things like this. It works. It's good fun. And unsweetened, as you might well know. And there is some Campbeltown blended malt in it to allow that name. So honestly, a bit of fun and 50% alcohol. Soup, yeah. Campbeltown. Any questions on this at all?
I think we're all just like stunned by how weird, wacky, and wonderful it is. It reminds me of the After Eight dinner mints. That like really dark chocolate with that like minty brightness to it. Yeah, Nathan's saying it's a true dessert whiskey. And yeah, Ollie was just like, I thought this was gonna be like whiskey. And I was like, yeah, probably because it's 50% ABV. Like no one in their right sane mind would be like, yes, a 50% liqueur. Like, yeah, it's absolutely wild. I might, because we have now tasted all of the drams. I might run the poll actually to see what everyone's favorite is. You can vote for your top 2 favorite whiskies of the night. Ian, you can see the votes as they come in. Do not spoil it.
Oh, yes.
It's very fun. It's like,
oh my goodness, I love this.
Yeah, it's like greyhound racing or something. It is one of my favorite things to watch. Brendan, quickest vote ever. I've also shared in the chat the link to the collection again with all of the North Star bottles that we have available. I think Ollie mentioned earlier in the chat that there are like 3 bottles of the Campbeltown Connection that were squirreled away. I think we'd thought that we put more away, but it was just 3. So will be.
Do you want me to set it live now?
Do we set it live at a random time? I don't know what the most fair is. I feel like it's going to be a bloodbath either way. So you decide when you want to set them live. And we will see. Bradley's just invoiced me. Yeah, so we had hoped that there would be more, but yeah, we'll see. So yes, get your votes in if you haven't got your votes in.
3-minute warning.
Yeah, 3-minute warning. I see everyone like setting their clocks. Huh?
That's everybody. Everybody's voted. I see in my thing, 100%. 30 of 30 people have voted.
I think I'll go 4. It says 4 people left at the top, which usually means there's like one more person,
Right,
but
right. Oh
because
yeah.
we can't vote, we can never vote. It's very upsetting. If I could vote, I don't even know what I would vote for, honestly. I really loved the Inchfad though. That really, really got
Oh
me.
yeah.
But if you haven't, I think that was our final vote. If you haven't voted, forever hold your peace. And the
Oh my
poll,
goodness.
yeah, Dave Fathos, his extra one won't vote, but the drum roll insert here to share the results, and it is a close race. Number 1 was the Campbeltown Connection. Number 2, the Inchfad. Oh, sorry. Uh, coming up
Something I've
second.
done one.
Yeah, the Caol, yeah, it was fantastic. And honestly, normally the first whiskey suffers from being like the first and the least memorable. But that Campbelltown was so good that I think everyone was just like, nope, yep, this 100% is my favorite. So, yeah, really, really great to see. But I think it's I think we might have to have, obviously, Ian will have you on for another virtual tasting again. This has been wonderful. We could just listen to you talk for hours. I think someone mentioned in the chat, it's very much the test cricket of virtual tastings. It's a
I
real sit down
is
session.
is there a chat? I never seen that. Oh, there's a chat
Oh,
box at the side. Fuck, I have to go read that.
yeah,
Sorry.
I'll send you all the chat notes, all the smack talk, everything like that.
Mhm.
But yeah, we'll have to have you back on again soon, and we'll have to talk more about Del Riata as well at the next tasting. I
Oh
think
yeah,
that would be very, very exciting.
absolutely.
But
Yes. No, I'd love that.
yeah, thank you so much, Ian, for joining us,
Oh,
for hopping on in PJ bottoms and all. I
yeah.
so
First
wear
time.
track
First
pants and
time.
PJ bottoms to run the
First
tasting.
time,
So
man. Love it. So sorry
no.
about this, but I thought it was 9:30, and yeah. So apologies for being late, and thank you everybody for especially Justin. If you know, you know. And Ollie, Chris, and yourself, Emma, and everybody for listening. I hope any questions, please knock me up on Messenger or email or whatever. If the team at Whisky List don't know, I can certainly help you. I'm really appreciate you guys coming out and listening, and if or not you want a bottle, brilliant. It's not why I'm here. I'm sure, but just to tell you what I'm all about is, and I appreciate you all so much. And if it's not cost prohibitive, I'm going to get back out there. I have such a great time out there in years gone by. So when the time is right, I shall get out and see the team, and hopefully maybe meet you all in person and with no pajamas.
Yeah. The pajamas will only come out for special events, I'm sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
The evening's taking a turn for the worst if I'm in my jammies.
Definitely. But thank you so much, everyone. We will catch you at the next tasting. Take care.